And so coming back to this topic of sprawl and kind of how we think about it, how we approach it, another term that is counter to it, or I'd say a way of measuring how much sprawl an organization might have, is this notion of total cost of ownership. Kind of how do you understand everything that's working together within your IT and security stack to making sure it's working for you, but it's also providing enough value, and there's not, let's say, over-indexing on certain things that you might already have, or kind of have several different applications that might be achieving the same thing. Yeah. I'm curious from your perspective, when you're taking a couple steps back and looking at MiQ's kind of total cost of ownership and kind of what does that look like, how do you approach those types of things?
Well, I think we are, for ourselves, for starters, we have dedicated key results in place for those sorts of things, especially for product and tech costings. As an organization, we've always been really laser focused on total cost of ownership, and even looking back at kind of the last 3-5 years alone, our cost of infrastructure has consistently decreased despite our business revenue increasing, and our digital footprint growing, which is always a really good sign that actually you do have kind of control of it, and you're doing the right things and you're putting the right platforms in place. If we kind of jump back to JumpCloud, I know during our case study chats, we kind of did some research on cost savings, and I think even just by utilizing JumpCloud alone in the last year, it's brought in a cost savings of around $8,000 per year per lot on licensing and infrastructure. So for us, it's all about finding the right balance between what we need and what we want to bring in versus our return on investment. And if you're looking at softwares and applications that are going to kind of speed up our IT teams every day, then it's always going to be, a good return on investment.
Absolutely. And so that's great to hear. So that puts you in kind of some rarefied air for that most people, right, where the business is continuing growing, but actually the infrastructure cost, not only is it not linear, but it's also decreasing as well. So I guess lesson learned is keep growing, and then we'll kind of see more decreases come from there. And I know you mentioned kind of the hard dollar cost, which is always great to see, especially kind of removing that. And for the CFOs listening in, that's always great to hear, kind of and making sure that we can recoup that and put it back either into the savings of the organization or into other new projects or kind of enhancements that you'd want to get to in the future. And when we're thinking about total cost of ownership, I think that there's kind of two sides. So we have the hard dollar costs, right, of kind of savings that you can show that on a spreadsheet and say, hey, here's what we're going to do from there. But there's also kind of the soft costs that are associated with that. So if you have a lot of different tools and technologies, it takes up time to understand kind of what signals might be sending from others. How do we interpret that, and making sure that they're all talking to the same, one, other systems, but then two, people in the process of those systems.
Please subscribe and check out more content from us.